and welcome to another Shadow Era stream. You know what? It's another dev day, and I got a lot of stuff to do, so let's get to it. The first thing I think that I'm going to work on today is this initial loading screen. If you've been around Shadow Era a while, you might know that there have been a few of these. When it gets to be winter time, we like to change it up to a more seasonal loading screen. That would be in the login scene. Currently, it's this image. Where would that be? Probably background canvas. There it is. I'm gonna turn that off and turn on this. This. So there's my foreground guy. And I want to change this background to this snowy background. Login background. Change it like that. A nice snowy scene. Let me just run this. When you actually run it, it's gonna move the guy into the corner no matter what the aspect ratio is. So if it was like on an iPad, it would look like this. 16 by 9, 16 by 10. I would like to see the dragon's head. Gonna pause it. So the background plane cannot see the dragon's head. Even if I could just move it. Does that look a bit better? 16 by 10. iPad would look like this. Yeah, that's a lot better. So this guy's in the foreground, so the snow effect that we have, the wind, we have wind, we had this hidden snow effect. Let's turn on the snow. So some is, you can see it's behind him, and some is in front of him. That's a lot of snow. That's maybe too much snow. If we go in the scene, you can see how it's composited. That might be way too much snow. Max particles is 250. Snow sheets. So these are like the big sheets. Should we try like half the snow? Try it with half. Then pause for a bit. I think with half the snow, the sheets are still snow. Maybe I like it better with the full snow. Maybe not 20, maybe 15 sheets. And 200. When it starts something like this. Yeah, so let's try that. So it's going to be 215. So you can modify whatever values when the game is running, but when it stops, it resets everything to what it was. So I just changed it now. Let's save the scene. And then we'll go back in scenes, preloader. Let's see how it looks in the game. Wow. That's how it's gonna look on the iPad. So let me see, where did the snow actually go? I forgot to enable the snow. As I was saying, things go back to the way it was when you stop playing. Make sure that snow is enabled. Go back to preloader. Message preloader. That's really nice and snowy. Kind of comes and goes with the wind. 60 by 9 would look like this. Very different feel. Good for winter. Oh, this didn't get changed as well. So many things that I have to change. Forget. Got this here. Background plain. Copy the component. Log in and remember to do that. Paste the values. Boom, there we go. Last time. Looking good. So that's going to be the new loading screen. Okay, check that off the list. So we'll just go into the game. I noticed a few bugs last time in the last stream. Going to test mode, this allows me to give anybody the cards that I want. So one bug was with Metasil. Give it to the AI. Give the AI some resources. And let's put some allies on her to target. Now hopefully she will use the ability. One resource left. Ability. Yep, there we go. When she uses the ability, we get that can't defend icon. Problem is, it's supposed to only last until the end of your turn. The icon is left there. And it doesn't say we can't defend, so I know we can defend. The icon is not actually being removed. Metasil is Crystal's card 50. So let's just check out the code first. Card 50. Target opposing ally can't defend until the end of your turn. So this is the code. Can't defend is actually called stone in the game. It used to be that the cards had like a stone effect on them because that was the only card that had can't defend. But there are a few other cards that use it now, I believe. Who else uses it? Yep, a handful of cards. 4 cards actually use it right now. So we're going to start the effect can't defend. So can't defend is actually the name of the effect. Can't defend. Need resources. Research for can't defend. This is it. So it's a prefab that just puts this on the card. So yep, that's the one that we want. Can't attack. It's this no sword icon. So it's adding this to the card. That's fine. But it's supposed to go away. Let me go back. So it's starting this effect. It has this stoned countdown. So this is showing the keyword. So if it's stoned or can't defend, it'll have this. What we can do is rename this. Instead of stoned, we might as well call it can't defend countdown. And when you do this refactoring, it's going to rename it in all the different places. So now it's called can't defend countdown, not stoned countdown. Okay. See, that's the problem. We're not stopping stoned. It is now called can't defend. And when you stop the effect, it just searches by the name and destroys it. So I think that should do it. Let's go back to the game and test it out. So it's just a visual bug. It just didn't remove that icon, but it is pretty confusing if you're playing. Okay, let's give everybody resources. Still, okay, targets. And there, I went away. That was great. We should probably talk about why the AI actually chose to do can't defend and then didn't bother. Perhaps that's for another day. At least there's not a bug there. While I'm here, the other thing. What's Ella doing? Her effect. It's kind of slow and there's no sound. So just gonna check off the Metasoul problem is done, but I don't need sound. She is card 6. There's her effect, Old Ice Shard. So this is the name of it. Let's take a look. Ice Shard right here. Okay. Let's just load up the game so you can see it in action. Hey, SCT Joker. Just adding some effects right now. So I want to do it on this card. If I go to the scene mode, I can see all the cards in play. Click on the card. If I drag the effect over here, we'll see it. It's a little bit slow and no sound. So for the sound, it also have, no, where's the sound? Paste the sound. Just need to find a better sound. We have an existing icy sound. Not really. Acid impact. Kind of. Squishy. Let me get my sound library. So I do have an ice section. Ice impact sounds good. Ice spike. That might be good. Kind of subtle. Like maybe part of it. It kind of matches the effect if I trim it. So Ice Spike Ground 2. The last part. Let me paste it. Call it Ice Impact. And drag it in here. I'm gonna edit this new one now with Audacity 2.5. It's not set up. I'm just gonna open Audacity then. There it is. So here's the sound wave, so we probably want like from here to here. But that's like 2.5 seconds. So if it was just that, it might be nice. I'm going to trim it. Move to the start. Fade in a little bit. Fade out over quite a long time. We'll just see how that matches the actual effect now. Is it called ice something? Ice shard Eldrin. And we don't want near explosion, we want ice impact. Give it the same pitch and try to do 8 volume. Now let's see what it looks like. Did I not save it? I didn't save it. That's why it helps if you save it. Ice impact. And then try that again. Sure. Wow, that matches surprisingly well. Pretty good for a first try. I did wanted to... No, I didn't go to school for this. This is all self-taught somehow over many, many years. When you're like the sole developer on a project, you kind of have to figure out everything on your own. Do it all yourself. If you don't know, you have to learn it. So I think that's okay as long as they get control, like the game moves on after like 2 seconds, it might be okay. I'm gonna check the timing. 4. Yeah, definitely not 4 seconds. 2.5 seconds, let the game go on. So when I save it, it has to recompile, so let's stop the game. But we can go back and try it live now. The snow, I kind of think it's still too much snow. I think it's a lot of snow. Maybe, yeah. Might revisit that before launch, but it's okay for now. Okay, let's have a live test. And the game, that's pretty good. Not too bad. A lot better. I think I'll check that off. Another one on my notes was needs someone on the board. So just wait a turn. Nothing happened at all. That's pretty sad. It looks like it is like a yellowish effect. I could just do the normal like hit effect that a lot of the cards use. Card number was 69. So here's where it should do the effect. Just gonna look at my list of effects. These are the old ones. Blood Impact, I think. It's just like the quick blood. Yeah, not too many things use it right now. Boris, looks like Boris's ability uses it. Just copy the code, cut and paste, and that should be it. Warm particle. Let me check out this warm particle emitter. So it is pre-warming it. It just doesn't look like it's ready. You know, when it starts, there's like no snow, and then the snow comes. It does have pre-warm set. Yeah, I guess because it kind of fades in and out. Back to Shield Bash. That sound doesn't exactly match. It was a little bit delayed. Before Blood Impact. Blood Impact. That's the hit squishy sound. Yeah, there's a bit of dead space before the actual sound. So I can clean that up. I want to get rid of all that dead space, but not save too much of nothing. Trim it. So it's a lot better. Export it. Squishy. There it is. That should be better. So Blood Impact. There's the card. Yeah. A little bit long for Blood Impact. Yeah, it's like twice as long as it should be. It might like stop here. I'm gonna just trim it to stop right there and fade it out. That's better. Itch. That's pretty good now, so let's try Shield Bash again. A lot better. Super long delay though. Default, I think, is 3 seconds. Default is 3 seconds. That was like 5 seconds. Save it. So now it'll be faster. A little long. One 1,000, two, so yeah. Maybe just 1 second. But that's about it for Shield Bash. Okay, so another card. Clockwork Soldier. He awakens and gains blah blah blah. First problem is it doesn't say what this keyword awakens is. Normally it'll say if there's a keyword, like stealth, can't be attacked. But then also when it does actually awaken, it doesn't sort of give a description of what happened, like it is awakened. There are there's some other cards like Golem, or the Engineer, but oh. Shield. What's it called? Called. I'll have to check. What is Clockwork? Where are the golems? Somewhere. Augmenting Golem is a good example. Try Augmenting Golem. Augment and go 1. So this has the keyword Awakens. It becomes an Olimar ally with 3 base attack, 3 health, and no abilities. But really important to understand what this keyword means. And then when it actually does awaken, so we'll just play that. Use the ability. It does awaken. It'll say, it says what awakens is, and then it says awakened, return to play. Maybe you don't need both, I would say. But it's awakened. It has +1 attack. So I would say only do one of them. Just say awakened. But those pop-up keywords need to happen for the recently changed Clockwork Soldier. So this is the magical line of code. It just says that it has this display keyword, awakens. Let's search where we actually use that. It didn't work. There we go. So a bunch of cards have them. And then this is where it actually shows. Shows transformed. It used to be called transform. Maybe I'll change that. So that's display keyword. But what if it is already awakened? Let's see, go there. Show keywords for cards. It's calling the script on each of them. I have to search for Clockwork. Clockwork Soldier. There. So yeah, he doesn't have this. That'll give him that display keyword of awakens. We'll have that initial pop-up. The other thing he gains this. I think we don't need to say that because it's right on the card. We could just say the awakened. I don't know where that actually came from. Awakened. There it is. So when you call this function, it'll automatically add this. So this is normally called when something awakens. Does Clockwork Soldier actually call that? One shadow energy. So when we use the ability awaken, it should call that. Okay, so I'll just save it and then see if Clockwork Soldier is fine. Clockwork Soldier. So there's the pop-up help. Weakens. And when we actually use the ability, it does say awakened. Now we don't want it to say, well, yeah, I guess we don't need to say both. Well, I don't know, maybe you do need both, because it's still explaining the keyword, and then this is what happened. Kind of wanted a different box to explain keywords, and then a different looking box for the effects. Or maybe like keywords are always on one side, and then the existing effects are on another. It sometimes can get confusing if, like this, should it say disabled, but then this card is not disabled. So I think there should be like two different boxes. One for explaining keywords, one for actual in-play effects. But it's probably not something I could do on the stream. Just save that for later. I'm just gonna keep this. That's fine for now. Clockwork Soldier has the proper help text now. That's a lot better. So one thing that's maybe the last instance of the old GUI is graveyard buttons. This is using a different GUI system. If I actually change the screen, you can see it doesn't scale. That button is not scaling. While all the other UIs scales perfectly with the screen. So that's why this button is looking a little bit weird. This is not like a full HD screen, so the button's looking a little bit bigger than it should. So I want to change that. Close and next use the new GUI. Maybe in gameplay. Let's open up the gameplay scene. I have a ton of canvases here. Basically everything that can come up in the game is here somewhere. Chat panel tips. The graveyard display is where the actual code is. When you click on the graveyard, okay, let's check out the code. So on GUI is sort of the old Unity system. There, it's just drawing buttons. So I don't want to draw these buttons. I want to sort of enable it. Here's the close button. This is an old GUI system that doesn't scale. So for example, let's just do close first, one at a time, right? We can still use the code. or the main callback function, but we don't want to draw the button. We need to close button. So somewhere we need to find an existing button. That we can copy. It's avatar. So here are all the existing buttons. Most of them are turned off. So this is bottom right 1, bottom right 2. So if we turn it on, there it is. So that just gets turned off and on. And then the name gets set to like end turn or whatever. In some cases there are 2 buttons, so it looks like this. So this sounds like a good button to copy for the next or the close, previous, next, and close. Let's copy this or duplicate it. Button graveyard close. Problem is that the text has to be translated. It can be translated in code later. So let's hide these again. So the graveyard close kind of needs to be, the graveyard's going to be like here. So previous, next, and you want close like in the center of the screen, right? We don't want it anchored on the bottom, we want it anchored there in the middle. Might be too big, maybe we might need to move it down a bit, but we want to see how it looks first. Button. This has to call a function. Close. Probably want to call a function in graveyard display. We make this into a function. On graveyard close, we'll call this function and do that same stuff. This is the old code that we're commenting out. And you want to show the close button somehow. Graveyard list display needs close button. This will allow us to interact with that close button. Let's make it visible, otherwise we should not see it. So we have to hook this code up to the actual button. The problem is this graveyard list display, it looks like it has it on this graveyard and this graveyard. Graveyard display. Graveyard list display. So there's the script that's looking for the close button. So we actually, I'm not sure, kind of need to do it on both cases. Close button here. So make it display or not. I think we might need 2 buttons depending on what graveyard it is. Check the code. Graveyard. Yeah, I think it might work in both cases. It doesn't matter which code the close button calls, so I'm just gonna make it call. If you press it, it's gonna call into here. Graveyard list display on graveyard close. So let's hide this button. We don't always want the button. That's a lot of changes. I'm not sure that's gonna work right away, but we'll see. And graveyard button. Let's play it in game. I think I only did that for my graveyard. I didn't hook up the button to show for his graveyard. There's the close button. Oh, it fits perfectly. But this is on 16 by 9. On an iPad, it would kind of get in the way, won't it? Even 16 by 10 gets in the way. Well, it's important to check out all the aspect ratios when you're designing the game. But the height of the screen is always the same. It's just the width that's going to change. So it might be nice to have the close button just below the graveyard. So where was that? That was in menu canvas. Thing is, I could just scroll it. Minus 200, let's say. So remember, minus 200. How is it actually going to work when I click on it? Yes, but it didn't hide it. It just leaves this button there forever. So when you actually call this on graveyard close, we want to hide the button, because this does not get called the next time on GUI, because the whole thing is hidden, so this doesn't get called again. So make sure to set active false, which will hide the button. And that's about it. We got the new GUI button. But that's only for the player. Minus 200, remember. Play. So the graveyard button was going to be minus 200. And we set up this graveyard, right? Graveyard button. Enemy mat. You also have to set it there. Just reuse the same button. I'll make sure this is hidden to start. A lot of cards in the graveyard. So let's try this enemy graveyard. There's the button. Close. It closes. Perfect. Supernova. So there's still 4 cards. I need more than 4 cards in the graveyard. Fireball. There we go. So the next button also uses the old GUI. And it's going like 1 card at a time, which is super annoying because you have to like keep clicking on it. You'd probably go 4 cards at a time would be nice. Right? So you click next and it would go right. Maybe just show 3 cards from Supernova. Looks like a page. So previous, next, plus page. Similar idea. Copy a button, move it center, give it some next. Let's go back to gameplay. Where's our, what is it called? Menu. There's our button. Duplicate it. Make it our previous. Duplicate. Next. So we want these buttons. Change the text first. Want them in the center. And then minus 200. We want it off the center a bit. Like this, let's say minus 100. This would be plus 100. Something like that. So if we have all the buttons, it would look like this. Previous, next, close. So it's pretty good. So now we need the actual code to support it. Let me save that. So I think it's safe to get rid of this because it's working. So previous, next, there is. There's also a target. So when you actually are targeting something in the graveyard, like Gravebone, it's going to be a target. But I say this code never gets called. Okay, maybe we'll trust it. Just hide that. So this stuff. Next. So the same kind of thing, we don't draw the button, but we want to display the button, otherwise do not display the button. And this code goes somewhere else on Graveyard next. That. So we need something else, like close button. That will allow us to hook it up in Unity. Next button, game object. Display it. Otherwise, not display it. Same thing here. This is the code for previous button. This seems like it's doing one card at a time. So I'll come back to that later. Just want to make sure that the functionality for the new buttons are working. Here's where we hook up the buttons. Previous, next, and then the actual buttons. It's supposed to be previous. This is next. And that's this one and this one. Yes. and then hide them. Save. All right, let's see if those new buttons work. Ball's going. One more turn. Showing cast him. Next, there we go. Perfect. So as I said before, if we adjust the screen, the buttons are now properly scaling. No matter what screen size you have. Check when you click close. It should probably close. Well, there was one other thing. Close is the only way to close it. To close it, you have to hide the buttons. The buttons are showing above. Click on the card. The next button is showing there, which is not ideal. It doesn't really act properly if you do it when it's like this. It stays there. There should be a next button, not previous. Huh. Okay, so a few bugs in there. So one of the reasons we should by default maybe not show the buttons and then only show them if we actually get into here. So blocked input would mean that a card is being shown. I'm gonna like set them all to false by default. And then if we actually make it to the code, then active these anymore. And we actually don't need this anymore. Might, because it won't call that code, I don't think. Just to be safe. Let's see how that works. Getting used to the snow. There's no one cause. Else, is it? Yep, LSD. I do also want to test out my graveyard, so I'm just gonna kill them all individually. Okay, so 5, we have next. Working fine. We go like this, yeah, no buttons. Back. Correct buttons. There we go. Close, no buttons. My graveyard, working good. No buttons, close, perfect. That seems like a good success. What about the scroll? Trying to be nice. I want a whole page at a time, not one by one. For that, we will have to check out this code. So next and previous. So this is the magic function. First card to display. Take 4 cards to display at a time and move the others back to the graveyard. Top card is greater than 0. This resets it. Okay. So that's easy. Basically, we just have to make sure we don't go over the number of graveyard cards. graveyard card. So next. Previous first display card. Why is that minus? Click next. Which display card is minus? Oh, it's displaying the graveyard in like reverse order? Is that what it's doing? So like the first in the graveyard. Top card. A little bit confusing. Count top card. Okay. So we start at maximum, and then we click next. It is minusing it. So easy way to do that is to have a while loop. Is greater than 0. Okay, so basically we were gonna do it 4 times, but if it's already 0, then we will stop. That's next. So it should do 4 cards at a time or go to the end. It's not really a page. You have 5 cards, it'll be the same as just doing it once. But now pressing it next, it'll be like pressing it 4 times. It's more like a scroll to the end, so it's not like a next page. You have 5 cards, it's not going to show 4, and then 1, it'll show 4, and then the last, I think it's okay. Then similarly, so we're increasing it, but we want to check that it's not going too far. The max is this. Let me do it up to 4 times. So pressing previous is the same as doing it 4 times. Let's check that out. Not sure if that's gonna work. It'd be easier if I had a different hero. I think I have more missions just so that I could play against a proper hero. The effect is too slow. Shield bash. So 3 cards, there is no buttons. Oh. Or I need some different variety. Right. The Lightning Strike is on the top. It's actually the last card that the graveyard. There we go. Lightning Strikes next. Ugh, we have an error. It's out of range. While it's greater than 0, and done is less than 4. There's 1, there's 2. I think I need to like step through this. Not sure exactly where it's going wrong, so I'm just going to step through the code line by line. I can check the values as they're modified. Fireball. Lightning Strike. Santa. Shield Bash. Room for a shield bash. Okay. Here's the first four. Press next. So done 0. Let's step over. First display card is 4. So first display card is 3. We've done 1. 3 done is 1. Minus is 2. Yeah, I see what's happening. Got the exception already. So it's doing it right. But we don't want to display 0. We want it to be 4 cards. Because we want it to display the last 4 cards. It's not like a page, it'll be notified. Or we can change how it's actually drawing it to only display the last one. Maybe we can just display how it's drawing it. So top card is gonna be 0. Graveyard count is bigger than 4. This is the problem. You don't always want to display 4 cards. What if there's only a few cards? Like 1. This is more generic. Top card can't be 0. Okay, top card 0, the first one. So this is more generic. What to do at most 4? Okay, so we just need to check in here if top card minus I is greater than or equal to 0. Then it will do it. Otherwise, if it's at the end already, it won't. So this can now display just the last card. Yes. So it will be like a page system. If you have 5 cards, it'll display 4. You put next, and it'll display the last one. Fortunately, it takes a bit of time to set up those cards in the graveyard. Maybe it's faster to give him like sparks. Let him cast a lot of sparks and then nuke them. That'd be too many sparks. Need 2 supernovas for that. then it'll be hard to tell what's actually in the graveyard. So graveyard, there's too many sparks. Did a whole page and left with 3. Yep. That's pretty good. Does take a while. It's like half a second to scroll the page. It'd be nice if it was double. Maybe double that speed. The page system is working at least. Let me try. Wait. Yep, that's pretty good. Just like that. It is a huge improvement over what it was. Scrolling is about 4 times faster. And we got the nice buttons. Now the thing is, that's the graveyard. There is also the deck. You normally can't view your deck, but there are cards that can seek, like something orb. There's Seeker? Soul Seeker? No. I should search for Seek. Seek a homunculus. Ow. Vigilant Wisp. Attachment. Twilight Allies. Artifact. More allies. Okay, maybe this one. Xorian Blacksmith. 55. So when you summon Seeker, weapons cost 3 or less. When I summoned it, I get the same interface, but this is my deck now. The code is similar, like it's doing the same thing, but old buttons that don't scale. And it's doing one card at a time. Holy. Yeah. So what is this called? This is, let's see if we can figure out what is drawing that. It is using graveyard display. That's really like the background. Does it say graveyard on it? So it says graveyard. Can you actually see that? It says graveyard. I didn't know that. It says graveyard. It's supposed to be a deck, not a graveyard. Well, kind of recycling the same border anyways. The code is deck display somewhere. Deck? Well, those are just numbers. Deck legend? Nope. Definitely something showing previous and next. Let me just search for that. Decklist display. There we go. This was commented out. It's the same idea. Your deck list. Let me just write down what card that was. Lands 55. Oh. So where's deck list display? Graveyard display. So this is the thing that actually says graveyard. This is what we would need to change if we want to remove that, which we probably should, or have two, one that says graveyard, one that says deck. I think I'm just gonna edit that later. I'll just remove the graveyard text. Find where the deck list displayed. Would be Max. Deck list display. I want the buttons on here. I don't know where it is in the scene. Those are numbers. Those are all numbers. Okay, I have to go to the scene. Gameplay. Let's hunt it down. Video cards. Looking for deck list display. Graveyard list display. They have a playmat that will be there. Okay, you know what? You can go like this. Find references and scene. Oh, look at that. Some gameplay. Background canvas. Where is it? Main camera. It's on the main camera. I don't see it on here. Why is it showing that? It's referencing main camera. It's on main camera. Main camera. Is deck list display. So that's what we want to edit. The deck list. So same idea. Let's close all this stuff down. Same idea for the graveyard. These buttons that we're going to hook up. Checklist display. Actually recycle the buttons so we don't have to create those buttons anymore. So next, previous, but the code's going to be different. When you press the button, we want to call a different code. So I think we do have to duplicate those buttons to make it do different things. We could, of course, make it do different things in the code, but that's more complicated. I'm just going to duplicate those buttons. I think it was menu canvas. All these buttons here. Duplicate, and we will call it deck close. Deck previous. Next. So next, here is the code. Let's get rid of this part. We don't want to draw the button anymore. That's the next. Next is one. There's the code. I'm gonna update it to do 4 at a time later. And remember at the start, by default, turn all the buttons off. Next, previous. It's called. Get rid of it. Get rid of old junk. Next, previous. And button. Okay. Remember to turn off all the buttons. That should show the new buttons. It's going to go one at a time. I'll change that in a bit. Need to hook them up now. It's on the main camera. There's the new variables that just appeared. So we have close button, previous button, next button. I need this one here. And then you have to change the function that they're calling when they're clicked. We want to call an object checklist on close previous. Next. There we go. You can do this in code, of course, but it's kind of easier once you're used to Unity. It's like half hooking things up in the editor and then half doing stuff in code to handle the action. Let's just save, see if everything works. Preloader. Uh, 55. So when we cast in, yep, next, close. Actually, it's supposed to be done, not close. But that's okay. Change that in a second. Let's try that again. Next. It's working. It's going one at a time, as you can see. This it did 4 at a time, but everything seems to be working. Let's go and change that to done. Gameplay. Done. Then we have to think about how to do this multiple times. So graveyard's the same idea. This is the next. Okay, next. So minus. 4 times. Then the plus. So it's not going to be graveyard count. What is it going to be? I'll have to check this. It's going to be deck card. There we go. And then we do need to update this with the check to make sure it's valid. graveyard minus 5 needs to be greater than or equal to 0. That should be it. Double check this is saved. Back to preloader. And armor would cost 3 or less. Do I not have any? Next. Boom, boom, boom. Page at a time. This is sweet. And it stops correctly. Page at a time. Super sweet. I guess I don't have any armors or weapons in this. Okay. Looks like my boss deck. Kinda. Yeah, it's not exactly my boss. I think this was the template for my boss deck. But it is working with the done button. Perfect. That's gonna be a big improvement, I think. Both for the graveyard and deck display. Have to make a note to get rid of that graveyard text when using the deck. Everything seems to be working pretty good. That's about all the time we have for today. Again, we made huge progress. We changed the login screen to have snow, added some effects, added some pop-up to like the Awakened, Clockwork Soldier, and then of course the graveyard buttons and the deck buttons. I'd say that is extremely well done. Good progress. Thanks a lot guys for watching. Till next time, bye.